Today, for Native people's hometown history, we're going to talk about an event that took place in 1710. Four Native American leaders, known as the Mohawk Kings, arrived in London to meet Queen Anne. They were treated as diplomats, they were escorted in royal carriages, met with the Queen, and toured British landmarks. Their visit marked a rare, respectful diplomatic exchange between Britain and Native American nations. There are actually three Mohawk leaders, and one was a Mohican leader. Uh, a lot of them they dealt with the Iroquois nation, but they had actually come to request military aid for defense against the French, and they also asked for missionaries to offset the influence of French Jesuits who had converted numerous Mohawk to Catholicism. Queen Anne was actually quite impressed with them. At the time, they were in a state of mourning. I think it was a prince of Denmark had passed, so they actually dressed in all black, and they were quite the spectacle in London. And they were described in a contemporary pamphlet as being in shape, muscular, and within an inch or two of being 6 foot tall. Their complexions were described as being brown and their hair long and black. They said they were visually sort of awful and majestic, sort of intimidating. Their faces were covered in art, probably meant to inspire terror during battle. But they were described as being polite, and they will not refuse any drink or food that is offered, and they love English beef more than any other kind of food offered to them. They said that their health is good as is proper for primitives. They know no gout, dropsy, gravel, or fevers, which were different diseases at that time. They wound out dealing through an interpreter talking about what their needs and wants were, and they even offered to show their abilities by hunting down a deer and capturing it without a weapon, even though there's no proof that they actually were put to the test. But this was one of those few times where there were actually proper negotiations and things of that nature that went on, because normally they just were not the native peoples were not treated well by the British or the French empires. And eventually what would come to be known as the French and Indian War, which would come into the mid 1700s, they and the settlers were truly pawns in a war of empires. But this is one of those few moments where a genuine effort was actually made and a respect and what was possible was shown. History is out there, my friends.